Good morning, guys. Welcome to my channel. It's Houston. This morning I wanted to do a book review. Um, Forgive me for wearing a jacket here at work. I thought I would walk into a nice, warm, and cozy workplace, but no, our heat's out, which is fan-fucking-tastic. It's 33 degrees outside, and it's 57 degrees in the store. It's cold. Well, at least for me, it's cold. This will probably be going throughout the day once I start moving. But um, I just got here, so it's gonna stay on. The book I wanted to review, and I've read many times. It's an old. I got this, I think, back when I was in high school. Excuse me. I guess morning Coke is not a good thing to drink. Um, How to Do Psychic Readings Through Touch by Ted Andrews. Um, it's been. I've had it for a long time. It's like my third time reading through it. Um, it's a fantastic book if you want to develop your psychic abilities. And I think I talked about that 2 videos ago that I was teaching a class on Psychic Development 101. I basically based the class on this book and on the on the areas of psychometry, which is what this talks about. As readings through touch is psychometry, that's a technical term. And it talks about in this book sensing health imbalances, finding lost objects, and doing psychic readings for others. And there's plus a lot more. What I've come to understand, and what he says, that psychometry is one of the easiest psychic abilities to develop because our skin is our largest sensory organ. You know, to be able to feel. And to be able to pick up impressions. It's not just, I mean, to a point it is picking up an object that you don't know and being able to feel the energy of the person who owns it or the people who have owned it, a little bit about its history, or, if it's been through a traumatic experience, kind of like if, to an extent, it's the same thing as walking into a room and knowing that there was an argument held, that you just feel that way. Psychometry is, to an extent, can be tied with empathic abilities, being able to sense the emotions of others through feeling, and also clairsentient, since clairsentient is clear feeling. Psychometry is a branch of clairsentience. Clairsentience, sorry. I'm dealing with a cold, so some of the T's don't come out right. In this book, it's phenomenal. He talks about the human aura, things that you can do, and will be able to do once you have developed this skill. And he does repeat that psychic abilities are like a muscle, and they need to be practiced, fine-tuned, practiced, and be persistent. With each kind of spiritual gift or psychic ability, I like to make record of what I'm gonna say a lot this morning. Apparently, I like to make record of what I experience and what I see or feel or hear, if I'm doing a particular type of experiment or a type of test or a type of reading. So Ted Andrews says that's a very great idea, a great concept on how to develop your psychic abilities, because you can record something, like read an object. Let's say you pick up one of your stones or someone else's object and you're doing a reading for them, and they bring you an object of theirs and you do a reading, and you go into a meditative state and you pick up the item, you describe the item to them. It's the first way because it gets your mind going once you describe, and then you start seeing images or feeling certain things, or maybe a video plays out in your mind, or you hear certain music, or you just feel the emotions behind it, or whatever. You need to be able to translate that information, what you're feeling, to the client, and he teaches you ways to do that in a very simplistic manner, also in a professional manner as well. not just in a, sit down at a party and, you're holding these objects and you're playing the party psychic. He talks about that it's a lot easier to develop these abilities. You can do them by yourself. And he said that's perfectly fine. But he said it's a lot easier too is to have someone with you who wants to develop the same gifts and have them with you and develop the abilities back and forth. So like if there's an exercise in here about sensing, excuse me, apparently I have the burps this morning. Excuse me again. There is a couple exercises in here about sensing objects from regular objects, like objects that people bring in that are not too small, or not too big. You bring into a setting, a group setting, or there is where an exercise where the people in the group, if you have a group of people or just the two of you, write their name and date of birth on a piece of paper and hold that paper to the solar plexus to kind of give it its energy. Fold it up, how many amount of times, but everyone has to fold it up the same, and then they put it all into a bowl. Someone shuffles the bowl, and then you pick that piece of paper up and you try to sense the personality and possibly sense who the person's name, and not really their date of birth, because that's just one of the most powerful. The name and the date of birth are the most powerful tag locks when it comes to psychic abilities. And that's why when a lot of witches, true witches, not scam witches, that you pay like $500 for a curse removal and you don't see any effect of it. I mean, like, practitioners, if they're going to do a spell for you, they don't have to, but they can ask for an item of yours to make a direct link, or they can ask for your full name, date of birth, and zodiac sign. Which, I mean, from your date of birth, you'll get the zodiac sign if they do their research, and they can get the Chinese animal, and that's 4 really good tag locks, or it's a hoodoo term, to psychic links to get the energy off that person or get the energy to that person. He later goes in and talks about, let's see if I can find it. It's not that. No, I don't want to read about Alice in Wonderland. He talks about the human aura and how you can sense things from the human aura, not aura. I'm not talking about Harry Potter. He talks about feeling groups, energy. This is basically like a beginner's guide, which is fantastic. I love it. He talks about activating your palm chakras, which is very important in psychometry. And he talks about different techniques on how to heighten your sense of touch, so you can be more receptive to the information that is held in the stone, the psychic energy, the energy patterns. He does believe, and I do believe, that each object in someone's possession will eventually gain the energy patterns or the energy of the person it's in possession of. So you don't even have to be near it or hold it every day to have someone who has psychometric abilities, which everyone does. He believes, and I believe, that everyone is psychic. They just have to awaken and unlock the psychic abilities that are held within them. If that makes sense. There are some more gifted than others, but you may be gifted, but you still need to practice and hone your abilities to get them to where, actually, just to fine tune them. You need to practice and hone them to fine tune them. There's no really wear or level to anything. He made a really cool point, which I liked what he said, and it rings true for a lot of people in the pagan community, that their ancestors were psychics, and they've been clairvoyants. And in my past life, I've been clairvoyant, or I've had this ability to sense things psychically, so I'm just naturally gifted. Um, that may be true. That totally may be true, but in this life, you still need to relearn those gifts. I mean, he made a funny point that saying that, if you were able to read in your past life, you still have to learn how to be able to read in this life. That information doesn't just come, cross over with you. Um, I mean, some it does. I mean, we've heard of cases of children, early ages of like before they should, or before science says they should be able to do certain things, and they're doing certain things because they remember it from their past life. But this book, I think, is a fantastic way to start off your psychic development journey. Um, like I said, I based my whole Psychic 101 Development 101 course on psychometry because it was the easiest thing to explain, um, and the easiest thing to practice with other people and get validation for what you were feeling. That's the cool thing about working with groups when you're doing psychometric practices, is working with a group, you kind of get that confirmation. You don't want to get it while you're doing it. You hold the object and you let the stream of consciousness flow, and you just say what comes to you. You don't try to interpret it, because the person the object has is understanding kind of what you're saying, and they'll interpret it. And once you kind of get the stream of thought, then you can interpret it the way you want to, or the way you feel that you need to interpret it as. And that might give them insight onto what they're dealing with at a particular time on a certain situation through psychometric abilities. You could totally do that. But just starting off, not beginning, just starting off learning about psychometric abilities and the ability to touch and sense things through your hands, or through your solar plexus or your crown chakra, which he says if you don't get really anything in your hands, you can put the item in your solar plexus or in your crown or on your face, just so you can get better impressions. Um, just starting off telling by speaking what you know, your subconscious goes into that mind. Okay, we're ready for insights. We're ready for knowledge about this item. Let's bring it forward. Um, so yeah. So I mean, if you were interested, there's all these psychic development books out on the market, but they're usually targeted to a general psychic ability. And the books that I have that are on psychic development, they talk about most of the psychic abilities. There are multitudes of psychic abilities out there of what we can do. And these books talk about the bare bones minimum of each one, and tell you that meditation is the best key to doing it. They don't really put into play that, practice. You need to continue to practice and work on these abilities. You don't just need to meditate. You need to be able to set time aside. You can meditate, and that's a great way to develop them too. You can meditate, but practicing the abilities by doing psychometric readings, energetic healings, clairvoyant readings, tarot card readings, working with divination, um, sensing the energy outside, sensing the energy in the home, um, working with staying grounded and being centered in yourself, and working with the personal protection and your boundaries is a great way to, in my opinion, is a great way to develop one's psychic abilities. So if you were interested in this book, I know it's on Amazon. It's one of Ted's how-to series. He has a lot of how-tos. I think like another one. He's the author of Animal Speak, which I freaking love. It's one of my favorite Native American, well, one of my favorite animal medicine books on the market. Steve Farmer doesn't come anywhere close to Ted Andrews when it comes to animal medicine. I have Steve Farmer's book too, Animal Medicine or Animal Messages or whatever. But I go to Ted Andrews' Animal Speak before I even touch Steve Farmer's book. Let's see. He has the Enchantments of the Fairy Realm. I'm looking at the books that he has. He has the Healer's Manual, which I do have. I just haven't picked it up and read it yet. It's under a stack of books that I should read. Um, how to heal with color, how to meet your and work with your spirit guides, how to read and see auras, and how to uncover your past lives. Those are his how-to books. Because I know Llewellyn has this huge series on how-to. This is an older edition. The newer edition is going to look a little bit different, and probably a little bit thinner because it's going to be a little bit taller. But I mean, you can find it on Amazon, probably for less than $8. I haven't really looked since I bought the book. Then he has books called Dream Alchemy, in Magic, The Magical Name, Magical Dance, The Occult Christ, The Sacred Power in Your Name, Sacred Sounds, which I do have, and Simplified Magic. Sacred Sounds is a fantastic book if you like to work with sound energy in your practice. And once I finish that book too, I will do a book review. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything, please put them down in the comment section and we'll have a good conversation. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. I am thankful. If you guys follow me on Facebook, I had a mini rage thing happen to me last night. I usually don't get angry, or I usually don't get as angry as I did last night, where I felt like I could shoot fire from my fingertips. It was all my second job related. I don't want to really go much into too details because I'm kind of over it. I got rid of the anger last night, and my miracle worker as a manager, she is taking care of it. She is covering that store for me today, so I don't have to work after I get off this job. It had to deal with a manager talking down to me like I was a child and like I didn't know how to do my job. And she couldn't own up and say that she did something wrong when she did do something wrong. And she made me basically the villain in the thing when it was actually her. And that really sent me to a new level of anger. When I say that, I do have anxiety issues, so I am on Klonopin for anxiety. I took 2 of those, and I still was shaking mad. It was really bad. I didn't. I'm glad I have the friends in my life that I'm able to vent to, and I apologize for venting, but I'm glad I have that. Everyone needs not just someone to vent to, but someone to be there, and you would be there for them too, like a true friendship. And I'm glad I have that. I have found people like that in my life here. There are some people here that are not really there for the best intentions, but there are some people that are true, and I'm blessed and I'm thankful. Today is actually a great day. I feel 100% better than I did yesterday. I can think about the woman and not be angry, which is actually a really good start, because usually if I draw up the past, I get even more angrier, but actually I'm fine. So with that little ramble aside and the book review done, I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you guys next time. I promise I'm going to do some more videos, maybe some day in the life stuff for my practice, and show you kind of maybe some spells here and there, some rituals that I do, or some more theories that I've come up with or that I've practiced and rang true for me, just to share them with you guys. So until we meet again, many blessings.